Hi everyone, this is Jackie from Smith Family Travels coming at you with another travel tip video. This time we're venturing into Paris! We've been to Paris 4 times and we still want to go back. It is that wonderful. So if you're planning a trip to Paris, here are some tips that we think would be helpful for you to know before you go. Tip number 1, Paris is extremely expensive. It's one of the most expensive cities in the world. So you should budget accordingly. Anywhere else in the world you've been and you've had a budget, you need to up it for Paris. The food is expensive, accommodations is expensive, and you're gonna wanna see a lot of sights. There's so much to see in Paris. But is it worth it? It is so worth it. Tip number 2, Paris is sectioned off in arrondissements or neighborhoods. And so it's like a big circle. And I believe there are 20 arrondissements and they work from the inside out. So the inside of the downtown city core will be arrondissement number 1. And then they work out 2, 3, 4, 5, up to 20. So when you're booking a hotel, look to see what arrondissement it's in. So if it's in 19, for example, you're way far out from the city center. But if you're in like 3, 4, 5, then you're pretty close to the city center and within walking distance to a lot of sites. Also keep in mind the arrondissements have their own like personality. So one arrondissement might be for hipsters and another arrondissement might be more in the suburbs. Keep that in mind when you're looking at a hotel, what arrondissement it's in. Tip number 3, before you actually get on the plane, decide what you want to see in Paris. There are tons of things to see and do, and it can be really overwhelming. Depending on your interest and the interest of your group, decide what you want to see. How many museums do you want to see? How much do you want to eat out? Where do you want to eat out? Do you want to go up to the Eiffel Tower or do you want to just take a picture outside? So decide what you want to do before you go. Of course, you have to see the Louvre and Notre Dame and the Eiffel Tower. Even if you don't go up, take a picture outside. But there's so many other things to see. Musée d'Orsay, which is a beautiful museum. The building itself is beautiful. I believe it used to be an old train station and it is gorgeous. There's Montmartre, which is this beautiful white church on a hill. So before you go to Paris, decide what you want to see and book your tickets in advance. There are always lineups no matter where you go, but it's less of a line if you book your tickets in advance. We had pre-booked our tickets to the Louvre, for example, and so we were able to skip the long line that was outside and go right in. So it will really save you time if you book your tickets in advance. Tip number 4, everything is smaller in Paris. So if you live in North America, like I live in Canada, and when I went to Paris, I was really surprised at how everything was so much smaller. The food portion sizes are smaller, the hotel rooms are smaller, and even the elevators are smaller. So a lot is compacted into this one city. Don't be surprised if you go to a restaurant and you order something and the dinner portion looks like a lunch portion. That's how they roll in Paris. So everything is much smaller than what we're used to in North America. Tip number 5 is watch out for pickpockets. So we found that people in Paris are very friendly. They're willing to help you find wherever you're going if you get lost, and we've been lost a few times. But also you have to be careful that people who are coming up to you and try to sell you things, especially if there's more than one person, that they're trying to create a distraction in order for someone else to pick your pocket. If you take the subway especially, you can see groups of people who are just kind of loitering around the subway, and you have to be really wary. You have to make sure that your valuables are in your front pockets, or if you have a purse, make sure that it's in front of you as opposed to the side or behind you. We've been very lucky. We haven't had an incident, but we really make sure that we're aware of our surroundings. If someone stops Malachi, for example, and is trying to sell him something, Patrick, Kane, and I are making sure that there's no one else around him or us trying to pick our pockets while this friendly guy is trying to sell a train set. Tip number 6, there's lots of free things for kids to do in Paris. So as you know, Paris is known for its art, its museums, its culture, and it really wants to showcase that, especially to young kids. So a lot of museums are totally free for kids under 18, which is a great cost saver because all you have to do is worry about adult tickets, and then kids are free to go into museums like the Louvre. Tip number 7, like a lot of European cities, Paris dinner time is much later than at least what we're used to in Canada. So we usually eat dinner like 5:30, 6:30 in Canada, and I think that's pretty standard in North America. But in Paris and in a lot of European cities, dinner time doesn't start till like 7:30, 8, 9 o'clock in the evening. If you're out and about for the day and you start getting hungry at 6, 6:30, you're probably not going to be able to find a restaurant to have dinner at that time. You might be able to find a cafe that's open, but it's not going to be a meal. So just be aware that dinner time is much later in Paris. Tip number 8 is dress up just a little bit more than what you're used to dressing up for when you're on vacation. So the Parisians, as you know, they're known for their fashion. They're known for looking chic and beautiful and like they're walking the runway. And I'm not trying to look like I'm walking the runway when I'm on vacation, but I'm very aware that they dress up, and so I don't want to look too much like a tourist. So leave the running shoes at home. Wear comfortable shoes, but nice leather walking shoes, and that's better than running shoes. And dress up just a little better than what you would usually do. Tip number 9 is there's a lot to see and do in Paris, but the sites aren't that close together. In Rome, I find that the sites are much more compact and you can walk from place to place pretty easily and not feel like you're walking far. But in Paris, you'll feel the difference. And when you ask a Parisian, you know, how far is Notre Dame from where we are? Oh, it's just 10 minutes. Well, that's a Parisian 10 minutes. It's not a North American 10 minutes. For us, it's like a 20-minute walk, and we have proven this many times. I know they walk a lot more than we do, and so what will take them 10 minutes to get to takes us 15 or 20 minutes to get to. So beware that there's going to be a lot of walking to do, but while you're walking, you know, you're seeing beautiful sights. You're in Paris. It's beautiful, no matter what. Even the graffiti is beautiful. All the old buildings, and you can be close by the river and the restaurants and the cafes and people sitting down and drinking their coffee and looking very Parisian. But beware, there's going to be a lot of walking. Tip number 10 is try to learn a few French words. Now, I don't mean for you to go and take a class in French, but even if you know a few words like bonjour, hello, merci beaucoup, thank you, you know, combien de, how much is, you know, if you know a few basic words, I find that people are much friendlier with you. Parlez-vous l'anglais? You know, do you speak English before you approach someone? So that's courtesy, not just to assume that they know English, but, you know, give them a chance to say, you know, I don't speak English, or je ne parle pas l'anglais, or yes, I do speak English. We found that people are friendlier if you first ask them if they speak English in French, and, you know, you start off with bonjour. At least they know you're trying. You're not trying to speak a brand new language, but, you know, a few words never hurts. So those are our 10 tips of things you should know before you go to Paris. We hope you have a wonderful time. Paris is a city that should be on everyone's bucket list. If you're interested in art and culture and history, Paris has to be on your bucket list. But before you go, planning is key. You want to have a fabulous time in this wonderful city. So I really hope that our tips are useful to you. And if they are, click on the like button and subscribe. Until next time, this is Jackie from Smith Family Travels saying happy travels. Au revoir.